Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Super excited to have you guys here. Lots and lots and lots of fun to be had for all of us. I know it's going to be an amazing time together. Quite frankly, lots doing, guys. Lots doing. One of the things I wanted to make sure that I was covering with you guys today, specifically was how I think the government, the US government, not the Fed, but the US government drastically altered our strategies for buying owner-occupied single families. So what I wanted to do was really kind of cover that first. Make sure, for those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Matt, the Lumberjack Landlord. I have 124 units. 43 buildings. And that's what happens when you run to your studio when you realize you're about to go live. So yeah, 124 units, 43 buildings. And what I wanted to talk to you guys about today was really how I think the US government broke things and how it's going to change. So for the next 5 to 10 minutes, I'm going to take you guys through it. I'll be kind of watching this, and I think that this is honestly going to blow some of your minds, really. I know that Mike from One Rental at a Time and Dion Talk Financial Freedom. I don't think Mike ever says this, but they always say that I'm the smartest guy in the group. I don't know that to be the case. But let's see if I can put something together and unpack it for you and make it at least seem like I've continued to fool them and that I am somewhat reasonably smart. One of the more impressive things about the housing market, right, is that we have all these people, all these buyers on the sidelines waiting to jump in. We see 16 to 18% of them that when the rates went from 3 to 6, they could no longer afford it. So what are they hoping for? They're hoping for that 20 to 40% or 30 to 40% reduction in price that's then going to make up for the higher rate. That's all just math. That's all the math coming together. Rates impacting the pricing of housing, and then people's ability, the affordability for them to be able to jump into a market. One of the things that I think that no other channel that I could find has actually been able to make the case and lay it out cleanly is the case that I'm about to make. What most people don't know is that as a landlord, we watch something called the FMR, Fair Market Rents. That is a study that comes out every single year by the Housing and Urban Development, HUD, from the government. They just released their numbers 2 days ago. I actually did a video with my three amigo guys, with Dion and Mike on Friday, and we released that. And it really kind of breaks down each of the markets. If you're a landlord, you can jump in there and you can see it. But more importantly, this, believe it or not, is going to absolutely 100% affect people's home buying strategy. And here's how I believe this unfolds. In that newest report, almost every single metro went up between 8 and 10% in 1 year for rents. While that might seem low, what's very interesting is how they calculate rent increases. They calculate rent increases typically in a 5-year prior back and then rate of increase. So the numbers that HUD was looking at to come up with the numbers that they've given us now were based on 2016, 17, 18, 19, and 20. When did rents really start to move? 20, 21, 22. That's when we saw these massive increases in rents. So here is my hypothesis. I believe over the next 2 years that number that HUD tracks is going to absolutely skyrocket. And it's going to push rents much higher from a HUD Section 8 housing voucher program. In many markets, a non-housing voucher program holder or a non-housing program voucher holder versus a normal market holder of rent, just the person who doesn't have that voucher, typically that person that doesn't have the voucher has an advantage. typically they're paying more. They're paying more because usually Section 8 and housing voucher rents are much less. But this year, we are starting to see that start to take hold. A 10% increase this year. On top of that, I spoke with 3 additional agencies that also got those FMRs. Those, the fair market rent calculations. All 3 of them proposed an additional 10% on top of the FMR for 2023. Think about that. 10% and then 10% more on top of that. And in some cases, the FMRs were up 15% and there's another 10% being tacked on top of that. So now HUD is really starting to catch up to market rent. So now the advantage that the market rent payer has versus the voucher holder has is nothing. It's nothing. The monies could be on par. And in fact, government could accelerate that because in their 5-year track that they actually look at, we've not seen any of the real appreciation yet. Almost none of it. They only have the 2020 numbers in there, not 21, not 22. And then years that were flat, 17 and 18, those are going to fall off in the next 2 years. And then your new numbers are going to be 22 and 20 or 21 and 22. That is going to drastically accelerate the rents for HUD, drastically. Here's another interesting point. Does anybody know how many vouchers are actually out there in the market? My guess is no. What's really interesting, there are 2 million vouchers in the market. Now think about this. In 2021, the government added 100,000 vouchers for a program that's been in existence for decades upon decades. They added 100,000 in 1 year, a 5% increase. Someone might say, 5%, really, that's not too much. Yeah, 5% is a good amount, especially for a government program, especially in 1 year, especially when rents were being increased 10%. Now let's get nutty. Guess what is proposed for 23? An increase of another 200,000 vouchers. That program will effectively have been increased 15% in 2 years. The number of vouchers, 15% in 2 years, the number of vouchers. Now pricing, 10%, 10%, and that's just those 2 years plus the 10% override from FMR. So now you have 300,000 more people looking for homes, looking for rentals, 300,000. You have them paying now 30% more than what they were paying. What's that going to do for rents? It's going to bring them to an equilibrium to what a voucher program voucher's worth and to what a market rent's worth. Now, landlords put themselves in a position where largely they want to be diversified. And they say, you know what? I want to have a percentage of my rents from Section 8 voucher program. I want to have a percentage of my rents from free market. And I want to have a percentage of my rents from, let's say, military, like Dion does it. We do the same as well. We have smaller percentages in the other buckets. We have a larger military percentage because that's been going on for years and years. But I just recently, if you just started watching the channel, I just recently started doing Section 8. Here's what I find absolutely amazing. Recap on the numbers real quick. $200,000, 200,000 more vouchers in 2023. Rents up 10 in 21, 10 in 22, 10 for 23, 10%, plus FMR overrides at local housing authorities. We're talking real numbers now, folks. And if a landlord wants to be diversified, if they're getting exactly the same rent from the market that they are from Section 8 or a voucher program, that one comes from the government. The other one is free market and depends on the economy. Think about that. The other one depends on the economy. If we're in a recession, 4%, 5%, 7%, 9% unemployment, guess what? They are likely going to be heavier on the Section 8 voucher program side. And thus, that's going to put a pinch on the free market, where the free market will then offer to pay more for that unit. And they might be able to in certain circumstances, in others, they may not. Then what happens? That person then can't afford the rent. They stay where they are, but the voucher program are now getting a large supply of the rental units coming on market in the US. So I kind of put all this stuff together as I'm looking at all these numbers. I'm looking at the FMR numbers. I'm looking at the fact of what we're doing in our portfolio in diversification, and recognize that the only time that my unit isn't available to Section 8, the only time is if the price is what the market price is and that the voucher won't cover that. So all of our units we make available to Section 8, it just comes down to what the number is. And then the other couple criteria that we have if somebody can then qualify. So I think you guys need to strongly consider running your numbers with 2023 FMRs, which is the published number plus 10% for most housing authorities, and start to understand where that puts them in the market for a unit. And is that less than what the mortgage payment would be if you just come up with the money to now buy it down? Because guess what? Bank of America leading the charge with this new program of no credit score required to get their loan for certain ethnicity groups. But the second piece is no down payment. No down payment. When you remove the barrier of down payment to purchasing homes, it instantly levels the playing field. Then it becomes only a credit game. Whoops. It doesn't become a credit game because they don't care about credit. Then it only comes down to income. Imagine that's setting us up for a big, huge, massive mess in 3 to 5 years. If that program expands, I know that I was the first one to report back a long time ago, over a year ago, the Bank of America had opened up a program where they were offering $17,500 in down payment assistance and closing costs. So in many markets, guess what? You could basically, if you qualified with credit score, you could qualify to buy that home. Imagine, right? So you qualify to then buy that home, but you had to have the credit score. Now they're eliminating that and you don't have to have that credit score. So what are you now getting? Technically, you're getting people that aren't credit worthy and you're giving them a down payment, which is the real barrier to home purchasing. So I give you all that information because that's what I'm doing in my business and trying to evaluate and understand what's to come. I think that's going to make a major, major change. And thank you, Dion, for the super chat. Lumberjack will retire one day, but not today. Yes, thank you, Dion. It's true. I won't retire today because no one would be in the office to take my retirement. So guys, let me know what you think. I'd love to get your feedback. I got a ton of questions we're going to get through. If you want to make sure your question gets answered real quickly, we are doing merch. So we've got the Lumberjack Landlord. Sorry, I should have brought one that I can actually put right up to the camera. We have Lumberjack Landlord merch. It should have been available on the site this week. It is not, but it will be. Last week, we actually, for anybody that did a super chat, it got them entered into our super chat bucket that will get them considered to get a Lumberjack shirt. So at the end of the show, I have a list of everybody that did a super chat. And based on everybody that did a super chat, you get entered into my little drawing or the little dice roll because I was able to get a 20-sided dice. Not a gamer, didn't know they existed. Thank you, Dion. Dion blew my mind when he told me he had 100-sided dice. I was like, that's amazing. So we're doing Dion. We got Tom Kine. Thanks, guys, so very much. Ryan Allen. Yes, I'm doing a giveaway of merch today. Guys, anything, truly. It doesn't have to be a $10 or $20. It doesn't have to be a $10 or $20 super chat. We're doing $1, $2, $3, $5 super chats, whatever, just so you get your name in the hat to get one of these shirts. When they're going on the site, they'll be $24.95. They are very nice shirts. They are amazing quality. That was what took me so long to get exactly what I wanted. So I wasn't just showing up and giving you guys some junky shirt, because I live the heck out of my t-shirts. But without further ado, I wanted to make sure to, I had my list. Oh my heavens, where did my list go? I had my list that we were going to roll the dice for this week to make sure that we got the person who wins the shirt. Now, as kind of a giggle, ha ha, not like I think I'm so awesome, but as kind of, I mean, I do think I'm awesome, but not to the degree that some people think I think I'm awesome. But that being said, what I wanted to do was, if you wanted to, I was actually more than happy. Where did the list go? Sorry. Here, there's that list. I'm more than happy to actually autograph the shirt for you and send it to you. I will be packing it because these things are not at a distributor. They are actually at my house. So I will be sending it off to you guys. Phil Nealon, I appreciate the super chat. Thank you very much, my man. And you guys can ask questions there. You don't have to just make a comment. You can ask questions, because I'm going to hit super chats first, always, to make sure that those people get their questions answered. Millennial Mike, thanks for the super chat. I'm going to find this stinking list because I actually prepped it all this morning. So I had this list for you guys so we could actually roll the magic die and see who won the very first that's not worn by me. The very first, I literally had a bookmark. I can't believe I did that to myself. Who will actually get the very first Lumberjack Landlord t-shirt. And like I said, if you want me to sign it, I'll sign it. I'm happy to do that. And again, yes, I expect it to be gag worthy. Not something that's it's funny because I collect sports memorabilia. So there are some things in my collection that I just, that I love, that are from just being a kid and remembering watching these guys. Oh, I found the list. Thank God. Okay, so we will find out who the very first winner is of the inaugural shirt. And we got number 1. Oh my goodness, Brian. Brian won the shirt. All right, Brian, my man. I know which Brian you are. Brian just comes up in the chat as Brian. So we got you, Brian. I will make sure that we get you your shirt. Brian, if you're watching my live stream, my man, you know who you are. Brian with a Y. Send, make sure you send me an email, lumberjacklandlord@gmail.com. I'm horrible at answering emails, but just put t-shirt winner in the subject line and I will make sure that I hook you up. So give me just 1 second here. All right, so we have Tom. All right, Tom Kine again. I appreciate that. Ryan Allen. Thanks, guys. Phil Nealon. Millennial Mike. Financial firefighter. I love it. I love it. Financial fire. Awesome. Kip Stevens. Thank you, Kip. Appreciate the super chat. Again, we'll make sure we address those questions first because I'm not going full time today. Because Brian, there he is. Brian, you won, my friend. Send me that email. That t-shirt is yours, my dude. And like I said, if you want to just send me an email, send me your address. I will send that out probably Tuesday. And if you want it autographed, you just let me know and I will be happy to sign it. And I will be signing it, Matt the Lumberjack Landlord. All right, guys. So let's jump into the super chats real quick. Make sure we got those addressed. Dion making fun of me. Tom Kine, good morning, sir. You are entered in. We will make sure that we get you today. Are you giving out merch today? I sure hope so. Yes, sir, I am. Thank you, Ryan. Phil Nealon, thanks for the live. You're very welcome, sir. Millennial Mike, favorite band and song and why? Like the video. Thank you, my friend. So that is actually an unknown artist that no one would ever know who that artist is that actually did that song, but the one for my trailer. Favorite band growing up was probably growing up it was probably Bon Jovi. And probably Bon Jovi and Creed. And then now is probably the one album that I always buy, or buy their tracks. The one that I will always buy is Alter Bridge. Alter Bridge is probably one of my faves. Probably one of my faves, yeah. And if you're in Hawaii, Financial Fire, I will still send it, even if it's to Hawaii. Even if it's to Hawaii, I'm not gonna. Anybody that wins a shirt, I'm not getting you for shipping. I'm not sending it COD. That's good though. I will send it to Hawaii. Yes. All right. So let's get into the questions, starting at the top, my guys. All right. Dividend Dave. Hello, how's the family? Family's doing great. Thank you so much, Dave. We're doing really well. Enjoying our summer. Kids got back to school this last week, so it's exciting. Lots of fun stuff happening there. Corby Carter, good morning. Kip Stevens, good morning, sir. Hope all is well with the family. We are doing great. Thank you, Kip. Matt Bittner, good morning, sir. Julia Anderson, good morning. Off to the fair. I'll listen later. Thank you, Julie. Have a fantastic day. Just listed your house. Congratulations on that. Kip Stevens, Vegas is wild and pivoting market right now. Yeah, it's awesome to watch. I just released a video on my channel just before the live stream. Check it out, watch it. I cover all the detail as I'm buying a home in Vegas. Cover all the detail in there. It'll blow your minds, the stuff that's happening in that Vegas market right now. And I cover it from a home buyer's perspective, also a little bit from an investor, but mainly from a home buyer's perspective of what I'm watching, why I'm waiting, and that sort of thing. I think a lot of home buyers that are waiting are making mistakes in certain areas, and I cover all that in the video where that will help you guys. Millennial Mike, what's up, studs? Waiting on the big G. Here I am. Here I am. Matt, your Instagram intro looks awesome. Is that for the upcoming course? That was actually done for the channel when I started the channel. We just didn't post it in front of videos, which was just kind of weird. I don't know why. I don't know why. Yes. Kip Stevens, Millennium Mike. Yes, his IG intro is epic. Thanks, guys. Yeah, it's on the channel. Jeff M, let's go. Yeah, let's go, my friend. So Jeff M, you are buying in the St. Louis market. I know that it's still super hot right now. My market's the same, still super hot right now. I know that Travis reached out to me, said that we would connect and try and do something this coming week. I would reach out to Travis because I want to do something, the three of us, where we can kind of all talk through it. That way you get his ideas and his strategies, my ideas and my strategies, and then have something to go kind of that might alter what you're doing a little bit, that might help you win or win sooner or win better, most importantly. So Jeff, I look forward to working with you, my friend. Matt Bittner, how do you think housing will weather corporate bond defaults, which will lead to layoffs? Do you think the government will just roll out some moratorium again? I think there's going to be something there. There's going to be certainly some government assistance. I think there's a lot of zombie corporations as they stand. I think a lot of these places need to go, just need to go bankrupt. I think we are going to hit, I think I think the recession, I think we will get to, more than likely, I think that we will get to, 7 to 10% unemployment. I just do. I think that's where the market goes. I think that we've only started taking our medicine. But I think that, layoffs will be in some of those places where they just can't get another round of funding because the idea that they had was kind of dumb anyway. When there's too much money in the market, a lot of dumb ideas get funded. And then some continue to get kept alive. One of the things that was really interesting in the dot-com bomb was companies would typically get 2 rounds, maybe 3 rounds of funding and then go public. I've got some companies that I talk to that are on their G round, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, 7 rounds of funding, 7, and they're not planning on going public. Are they going to get an 8th round of funding? Is that eighth round going to be a down round, which means that the valuation of the company has dropped? Yeah, it likely will. And what does that do? That washes out the equity that the people that got hired in the last 2, 3, 4 years had. It's going to get nasty, and it's going to get nasty for businesses that aren't profitable. That's certainly what I went through. All right, Brian, I did get that, my friend. Oh, that's fantastic too. And you're in Vegas? Yeah, dude, rock on. Yeah, I will totally. Spencer Cornelia does a I've been a fan of his since he probably had like 6,000 or 7,000 people on his channel. Now he's got like 500,000. Super nice guy. We've talked a bunch of times, I don't know, dozen or so, and chat back and forth. Really cool guy. And he actually has a Las Vegas real estate meetup. Let him know. Lumberjack told you about it. When I get there, it's something I would love to attend. I definitely look forward to it. Tiffany White. Hey, Tiffany. Tiffany's got a fantastic fish channel. My kids are now into fish. My daughter, Eliana, who was in the hospital for so long, she loves fish because one of the fake toys that she had was actually like a fake fish tank. And so now when she sees a real fish tank, it like just blows her mind. And so we actually made the plunge. We got a fish tank, and we haven't set up everything yet, but we've just gotten to the place where everything is like immaculate and clean. And now we have to start doing the research of, it's a 50-gallon tank. Which are the fish that we're going to get for our lovely girl, and make sure that she gets a chance to pick, but that we don't pick things that are going to eat each other. Because that would be traumatizing. Mandy W, good morning. Chris Webb, good morning. Financial firefighter, morning from Hawaii. Good to have you. If you win the shirt, I'm still shipping it to Hawaii. Jeff M, if housing crashed 40%, buying a home would no longer be a number one priority. Getting food, energy, keeping your job, and move to the top. Job would move to the top. Yep, a catastrophic event would have to come for a 40% crash. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of why all the crash videos are stupid when they're calling for 40 and 50% crashes. That's why. Can specific markets crash? Absolutely. And I deem a crash over 20%. I think that Vegas, not this year, I called in 12 to 24 months towards the beginning of this year, I'd say Q1, that over the next 12 to 24 months that we would see that correction. So I think by the end of 2024, the national median home price will be down more than 10%, I believe less than 20%. In order for us to get there, there has to really be two things that happen. One is jobs get worse, economy gets worse. I think that happens. The second thing that also has to happen is we have to see, as job losses start to mount, rates continue to be high, and people still having to move, but it being a much lower list. And that's the concern that I have of why it might not get there. It might not get there because we might be inventory strained. The 400% of people in Vegas, 400% more than ever before, pulled their houses off the market because the wish pricing was so ridiculous. Think about that. They went through all the work and trouble. Let's get the thing on the market. Let's meet with brokers. Let's get the right broker. Let's get it on the market. Let's do open houses. They did all of that work just to a month later go, pull it off. We're not going to get them we want. We actually have fantastic debt there. Think about that. That's amazing stuff. That's amazing stuff. But I agree with you. That's why I don't think that level of a crash is going to happen. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think in Las Vegas, I think Boise, I think Phoenix, I think all of those markets eventually go into the crash zone. And the crash zone just means more than 20%. I don't think that it's going to be hard pressed for any market to get to 40. And I'm not saying that there won't be. I'm just saying that that's going to be like a pretty small list as far as number of places. I think that national median is going to be between 10 and 20 down. And I think that happens over the next couple of years. But one of the things that could prop it up, $0 down home loans where your credit doesn't matter. It's right now targeted at certain ethnicities, which is interesting only because are they trying it there first and then expanding past there? Or is this just virtue signaling? It's going to be interesting to see what exactly occurs there, because I think it's all up for debate. Millennial Mike, financial firefighter, nice name. How'd you come up with that? Cool. Sup real estate freaks, Johnny Cashflow Ramirez, not fishing. T stamps, that's some deep facts, Matt. That's what I'm here for, my man. Hopefully that helps, because this is what I'm thinking through. Guys, I run my business every day. I just share with you what I'm doing in my business and trying to figure it out. I'm just like you trying to figure it out. I want to expand, but I'm not going to expand with bad deals. I'm expanding with killer deals. I got 3 deals under contract right now. And these deals are killer deals. Over 20% return on capital. And I've adjusted the way that I count. I won't count 5% vacancy because I've never touched one. So I carry a less than 1% vacancy. So I'll carry a 1% vacancy number. But what I have done is my maintenance number. I took the entire maintenance number that I have and I broke it up based on the number of units that comprise of that number. And now I assign that percentage to my properties, and I overinflated a little bit. So I put in like 4 or 5% in there. I can't remember exactly what the number is. So now I carry a maintenance number in there. Even though I'm able to do it out of cash flow, I still bill it back, obviously, to the property that it's on, because that just makes sense to do it that way. Kip Stevens, how do I get on a voucher program? Oh, wait, I make too much money. That's exactly right. What's really interesting too, though, guys, is that they've increased that as well. I can tell you for the COVID-19 or the program that they have because of the pandemic, I can tell you that the low bar for that was $61,000 a year. 61 grand. That's pretty easy to get to. There's a lot of people that make less than 61 grand a year. So you could get assistance pretty easily. Joseph, hi, will you tell us the best time to buy my first home? Joseph, I can't tell you that, only because it's a secret, and then it wouldn't be a secret anymore if I told you. I'm kidding. I have no idea. No one does. So all I can do is tell you to look at the numbers and look at what's going on in the market. Joseph, I would look at the program that Bank of America just rolled out. I don't know if you fit into one of the ethnicities that it's available to. And so I would look at that program, but it's 0% down and it's no credit score required. I would look at that Bank of America program and then get back to me. I can't get to the next screen because I don't financially qualify. So I would go through that process and see if that would help you, because I'd love to know more about that program. Melvin Yoder, good morning. Thank you for your time and education. Melvin, you're very welcome, my friend. Oh my goodness, I'm just getting the first super chat. Let me just see if there's another super chat. Dividend Dave, paying for this live, deducting the super chat. Thank you, Dividend Dave. That's great. Cool. Dividend. Awesome. Appreciate the sense of humor. Let's see. Right on. Hello, Matt. No Lexi today. She's visiting her Nana. Lexi, we missed you. If you watch with Dad later, I want to make sure I at least said hi. Alyssa McEwen. Hey, Alyssa. Good morning. Good morning to Alyssa. Johnny Cash Ramirez. I will have my 20-year-old Latin son looking for a quadplex with that program. We shall see. My man, that's exactly what I want to see happening. If they're going to make these programs, I want to see them leveraged, but I love seeing them leveraged by people that actually are doing the work and knowing what they're doing. Because let's face it, these, I guarantee you, 5 years from now are going to have an inordinately high default rate. There's no doubt in my mind. They are going to have an inordinately higher default rate. I would be willing to bet you it's between 300% and 400% of a normal default rate. You watch. That's exactly what happened in the 2000s. That's exactly what happened in 08 and 09. That's the type of stuff that when you revisit it and you remove the barrier and the discipline that it takes to save up that down payment, I'm telling you, that's going to be a difference maker. Mandy W, is it hard to make your units available in Section 8? Is it just some paperwork you have to file, or is there more involved? It's paperwork, and then it's also safety inspections, and then it's opening up to safety inspections every year thereafter. Then it's also agreeing to the rate that they're going to pay. And more often than not, what you'll find in most markets is that Section 8 is the lowest paying tenant. It's not a slam on the tenant. It's a slam on the program, frankly. It's taking them a lot of time to get caught up. But when they get caught up, they tend to then overshoot, and then they're no longer the lowest paying. So it's something to keep in mind on, because I think that that's going to put pressure on people that waited to buy their homes. It's going to raise rents. It's then going to reduce the amount of money that those potential buyers were going to be able to put down on a house. And the question is are those Bank of America loans still there? Are they not? Do other people start doing them? This is why no one has exactly the answer, guys. But I can give you all of the data that I see and help you dissect it, and then put it within the different buckets that it needs to go in to then make decisions that are best for you. I can't give you advice, buy a house now, don't buy a house now. Can't do that. All I can tell you is, as an investor and home buyer, I bought my primary home only 2 years ago. Thank God. I was told I was nuts, guys. Nuts. Everybody said, you are nuts for buying this home. And I bought it. And you know what? I'm locked in on a jumbo rate at 3.75%, 30-year fixed. And my house is almost doubled in value. Do I care about the house doubling in value? Don't care. Doesn't matter. Doesn't impact my life at all. All I care about, 3.75 debt, 30-year fixed. If my house falls down to exactly what I paid for it, I still don't care. Every month for me, it's just the mortgage payment. That's all I care about, keeping a roof over my kid's head. That's all I care about. That's it. The rest of it doesn't matter. If it's worth 2x, 3x, 4x, 5x, I guarantee 30 years from now, my house is probably worth 3x what I paid for it, maybe 4. Same thing happened in the market from when I saw others buying in the mid 80s or late 80s, and now it's the early 20s. Those houses that they bought, you could buy a 3,000 square foot duplex in my town for $85,000 then. That same duplex now costs you $550. So maybe it comes down to $450. Maybe it comes down to $4. It's still 500% increase. So it's the game, guys. It's the long game. It's the long game. So for my personal home, I just make my monthly nut that I have to pay to keep the roof above my family. And that's the number I look at. The appreciation up and down, I just don't care. I'm not investing for appreciation. I'm investing when I invest for cash flow. When I'm living in something, I'm spending the money and investing the money based on one thing and one thing only. What would my rent cost? What would my rent equivalent be if I decided I wanted to rent that house? And then over a 30-year period, is my rent going to go up? Yep. Is it going to go up 2, 3, 4x? I think we've seen that in rents. This is what I'm talking about, guys. That's why some of the straw man arguments that people make are just silly. Financial Fire, Millennial Mike, from Cool Dude that definitely would have aced the firefighter entrance exam. Oh yeah, I think Mike would have crushed it. I mean, Mike's a SWAT guy, so yeah. Yep. Thankfully, firefighters don't show up with guns, just fire hoses. REI Stoners, good morning. Good morning. Chris Webb, interesting numbers on FMR. How quickly do you think landlords will adjust to this? Meaning 500 over FMR will adjust to 550 over FMR, 600. I guess, what is the magnitude and how quickly? As soon as that stuff becomes available, because I'm looking at it and saying those numbers are available to me January 1. By Section 8 contract, I can only give them a price increase 60 days beforehand. So guess what letters are or it has to be at least 60 days. Guess what letters are going out the end of October? January 1, this is going to be your new rent. And Section 8 will approve it because they know what the new number is for January 1. It's the way it goes. It's the way it goes. And then based on that number, is that number in January 1, is that a better number than what I'm getting right now for market rents? They're already getting a bunch of my units anyway. I'm trying to work with the program and trying to diversify more portfolio within real estate. And that's what I'm doing to do that. Tom Kai, hey Matt, hey guys, Ryan Allen merch, yes. For someone buying their first home, what's good time? Wait for crash. I hear have over 50,000 saved. No one knows the market. No one knows what the future is going to be in the market. What you look at is what's the payment that you can afford. And for me, I looked at what the payment was that I could afford versus what the rent equivalent was if I wanted to rent that thing. because in 114 years, rents have not gone down, except for not nationally. They've gone down in pocket markets, but not nationally have they ever gone down. So because they don't go down, that rent equivalent, maybe it plateaus, but then it's going to go back up, and then it's going to go up more, and then it's going to keep on going up. Even 15 years ago, when I started investing in one of the towns I started investing in, rents then for a three bed, 2-bath house, rents then were about $1,200. Now they're $2,500. Think about that. Your mortgage isn't going to do that, 30-year fixed rate debt, but your rent will. And then what are you doing then? That's how you really start to get ahead. That's why the average net worth of a renter when they retire is $6,000, and homeowners, it's $220,000. Think about that, guys. Think about that. That's like a 360% return, 360% increase. Sign me up for anything good that's 360% more. I want to be in that game. Keith Hager, morning dudes and dudettes. Don't stop shopping. That's exactly right. Keep on doing it every day. Guys, I only know those numbers because I'm doing the work every day. Actually, in Vegas, in all honesty, I'm not doing it every day. Because it's a second home, because it's not an investment property. I know that market's adjusting. I'm slow rolling it because it costs me nothing to not buy. I'm not having to rent somewhere else. It costs me nothing. Nothing. Hello, Matt. How can I finance a manufactured home built in 1975 that is a triplex? Does such thing exist? Not that I've ever heard. I've never heard of a manufactured triplex. I've heard of a built triplex, but never a manufactured one. Who would do that? I don't know if they still exist anymore, and I'm totally pulling on some old strings. Conseco Finance, I don't know what they're known as today. Let me just take a look up for you real quick. Yeah, they still exist. Conseco Finance Group. Or Conseco Finance Servicing Corp, maybe? Yeah, Indiana. Yep. Oh no, it said they filed Chapter 11 in 2002. But they're back now. Is Conseco still in business? So they closed their insurance group. I would look up Conseco Finance. Oh, GE. I would look up Conseco Finance. They were the largest in the early 2000s. They were the largest mobile home, manufactured home financier in the country. That's what I would look at. If that doesn't work, I would reach out to Matt, the mortgage guy, and ask him who does manufacturing. Brian, wow, I am here. Good morning, Brian. Congrats on the shirt. REI trainer, cool. Congrats, Brian. Good stuff. Kip Stevens, congrats. David and Dave, congrats. We'll do another one today. REI trainer, how are people entering into the drawing? A little late here. REI trainer, only by doing a super chat. Doesn't have to be 5, 10, 15, 20 bucks. It can literally just be a couple of dollars. Anybody that's entering into the super chat for the next couple of weeks, we're going to do, I'm not sure if we'll do next week, but we're going to do on any of the super chats. Everybody that does a super chat gets their name entered in. When you get your name entered into the drawing, I then roll the magic die, and then that's who notified the winter. I didn't have the magic die last week. I have it this week, so we'll do it by the end of the show. And so if you miss it or you need to leave, it will be one of the last things that I do in the video today. Frida Shea, good morning to all. Congrats to Brian. Thank you, Frida. Good morning to you as well. Brian, my question for the day: what made you look at Desert Shores instead of Lake Las Vegas? What made me look at Desert Shores was just based on feedback of people that I had talked to. That was it. They just said it was a higher scale area, and that's kind of what I was looking for. Because I haven't decided if we live there for 4 months, if we're going to rent it out at all when we're not there. I haven't decided that. I might do corporate stuff. But I haven't figured that out yet. And I want to make sure that it's something really nice that gives me the ability to actually rent that out. Because a lot of people, those really expensive homes don't rent them out. So that's why it's kind of that's my thought process. Matt Bittner, is remodeling a junk house into being Section 8 ready any different than a conventional rental? Nope, it isn't. The only thing that you really want to watch there is safety stuff, and what they consider safety or hazard is very different than what a normal hazard would be. So a piece of frayed carpet, a piece of broken tile, a light switch plate that's cracked, a light bulb that's not working, a exhaust fan in the bathroom that only one of the bulbs is working and the other one isn't. These are all things that we've been flagged for, that we've addressed quickly. Unevenness in deck boards. One was about 1/4 of an inch proud of another one. We got flagged for one that sent me through the roof, and it was mildew on the walls in the bathroom. So that is not a landlord issue. That is a tenant issue, and they need to take care of it. So that one admittedly made me go nuclear. I blew up. Yeah, my brain blew up. Dividend Dave, thank you, sir. Ryan Allen, I'm close enough to come pick it up in person. If I win one, it would be great to meet you. Ryan, we will definitely do something. I know that we're going to do the Vegas thing with Mike. I'm looking at starting a local meetup. None of that stuff is going to happen until after my course is completed and after I retire. But look for that in 2023 for sure. And we want to be kind of more of a regional meeting, not just like a local meeting. Robert Fairnelly, home that, be on and off, trying to get a few questions in. Very cool. Elise, fire me, please. Still love the name, Elise. Still love it. Cool video on IG. Thank you very much. My good friends at Digital London worked on that with me. It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun working with those guys. They're actually helping produce the course. They're great guys to work with, Tom and Harry, most of the time. As awesome as my British friends can be. We have a blast working together, and they just tease me incessantly. And I tease them back because this is fun. This is fun. It's not rocket science. So we have a good time. But thank you for saying. Frida, thanks for the video on Vegas. Thanks, Frida. Yeah, just letting you know my feelings and what I'm going through and trying to evaluate and buy in that market. Jeff, yep. We'll get on the stream soon, either this week or next. Looking forward to your advice. I'm looking forward to giving it to you. I'm looking forward to hearing what Travis has to say too. Travis isn't a dumb guy. We just disagree. I like Travis. I like the guy. I genuinely like him. We would hang out. Totally would hang out. But we do differ. And he does a great job of reporting the numbers that are coming to market. I try and put them more in perspective, certainly from an investor side and from a home buyer side. It really is market driven, but I have something for home buyers that is going to absolutely blow their minds of something that they need to be watching for in the market that they're shopping for. Trying to get that video out this week. And it doesn't affect every market. It affects maybe a dozen or 15 markets. So it's nothing crazy. But in those markets, it's a huge help. Robert Finelli, which would you do first? New windows, add closed cell foam around rim joists, or beef up insulation in walls with existing blown fiberglass? Oh, dude. Yeah, that's really hard. That's really hard. You can plastic the windows. You can buy Roxol and you can shove it in the end caps against the sill. And so those are both temporary solutions, but there is no temporary solution for better insulating the walls. So thanks for making me think about it. I'd probably re-insulate the walls and re-hard pack them. I would do the Roxol in the bays where they meet the sill, and I would plastic the windows. That's what I would probably do. That's what I would do. Oh my goodness. Do you hear my kids, the kids out there? They're going nuts. They have friends over. That's why we're not going to go full length today. In all honesty, we're probably only going to go to about 1 o'clock today. So if you have questions that you want to make sure get answered, super chat, even if it's a buck is okay, but that's what's going to get your question. Make sure your question gets to the top. And that gets you a drawing into the t-shirt as well. Let's see. Financial firefighter. Yep. What are your thoughts on the new B of A zero down loads? I think it's absolutely a program that is going to blow up with 300 to 400% normal default rates within 5 years. Yep. I'm not saying it's not, they're going to try and find a way to have it make money. I just don't know how much money they're going to make from doing this. This is what killed things before. No income, no job, no assets. What was that called? A ninja loan. Wait, no income. Yeah, no income, no job, no assets. Ninja. Yeah, that's what they called them, ninja loans. Or they called them teasers, 2 and 28s. The problem that you have is that it takes financial discipline and it takes a certain income to then save up the money to then do the deposit. And so if you're waiving credit score, then you don't know that they're financially disciplined. And even if you give them the money, it's like people that win the lottery. How often are those people still rich a decade later? Some are broke as a joke. Some are worse. Some are in prison. So I think it's a horrible idea anytime, but I'd rather see it from them. I'm wondering if they're going to keep those deals on their balance sheet, because here's what I believe. I don't think they're going to keep those deals on their own balance sheet. I think they're going to sell them to Fannie Freddie, which then creates the contagion. If they were only doing that on their paper and it was all portfolioed, completely different story. Let's see. Matt Bittner. I read about 2 years ago that at that time that the corporate bond market had never been bigger. Yep. If rates continue higher, defaults seem more likely. Yep. And if the companies have to pay higher rates, absolutely, 100%. Those companies can't print money like the US government can. So I agree with the hypothesis. Yes. Brian, I know this is a local question. What percentage of people do you think can afford a house over 500K? I make a decent income, but I'm still shocked at the price of new builds. Brian, you and me both. The price of new builds around me is literally $500 a foot, $500 a square foot. I love my state of New Hampshire, and I think we're pretty awesome. And I think we have a lot going over us over a lot of other places. But I can tell you, that number's nuts. 500 a foot. That's ridiculous. That's supply chain issues. That's profit issues. That's a lot. So I think that there are plenty that can afford it, a 500K house when rates are 2.5%. That's why when they went from 2 to 5, 18 million people dropped off the face of the earth that were buyers. That's how that happened. So it's really rate driven. It's not so much price driven. It's really rate and payment driven. If that makes sense. Hold on 1 second. Nope, don't have to answer that now. Actually, I will answer it, but I don't have to go do it now. Jeff M. at Brian, not a lot. Yeah, I think, well, 500 at 6%. I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you. Especially with the normal numbers in place, right? Which is it shouldn't be more than 30% of your take home, or a third of your take home. But again, that's at 500 and at 6%. If it's 500 at 2.5, a lot more could, 16 million more. Yeah. Alyssa McEwen, from your perspective, how long do you think we have until we start to feel the pain in masses? I think we start to feel it next year. We're going to start to feel like across the country. I think it's next year. I think it's the wintertime, in all honesty. I think it's the wintertime. I couldn't get an oil company to lock in they wanted $8 a gallon for heating oil to lock in. I have calls to 3 other companies. And I'm just asking them, I don't want to be an oil fund hedger. What are my other options? I can't do $8 a gallon. I'm better off locking in at 4 and it being 3 and using up a bunch at 4 and then just locking in, less profit on the properties that I have oil at, that I'm paying for, which are not a lot. There are some, but there aren't a lot. Strategy as a landlord, what I did was, upon renewal this year, there were a number of units I didn't give a rental increase to, and I just said, you're now responsible for paying your heating. Because I can't get federal assistance or state assistance for fuel. They as tenants can. Pure gold right there. Pure gold. Santi. Hey, Santi. Good morning. Thank you. REI trainer. This triplex has a basement that is split to a 1-1. Interesting. Yeah, that's going to be a case-by-case basis. Yeah, I would definitely look at, I would look at Conseco Finance, which is now owned by GE, based on what I looked up. And I would also reach out to Matt, the mortgage guy, because my guess is he can't finance it, but I bet he knows who could. Because usually that's going to be some big national place that does and specializes in those types. Let's see. Thanks, Matt. Chris Webb, you're welcome. REI Trainer, you're welcome. Pallavi, good morning. Good morning, Pallavi. Mr. Bank Foreclosures, first time you've been to my channel. I appreciate you being here, Mr. Bank Foreclosures. Would you buy a 2-flat in Chicago area or just wait and see for prices to drop? So Mr. Foreclosures, here's what I would tell you. I would never buy in Chicago. There's certain areas that I believe take a very high level of expertise to operate in. I believe Chicago is one of those areas. I believe Chicago is one of those areas. I believe New York is one of those areas. I believe LA and San Francisco are one of those areas. So for me on Chicago, I'm out only because I think it's a very high level of what's needed to work within those areas. Based on the fact that my experience, which is limited, but I've done plenty of reading, but no actual experience, is that they are very non-landlord friendly areas. So for me, I align with areas to invest where they make the process possible to evict a tenant that's not paying or breaking an element of the lease. And LA still has a moratorium in place until the 1st of 2023. Like, people could have not been paying rent for 2.5 years. I don't know any landlord that can shoulder that burden if that's your entire portfolio. So for me, Mr. Bank Foreclosures, I appreciate the question, but I would not be the right guy to give you that information because I don't know. But you can watch Millennial Mike. He actually has a house he's invested in Chicago. I don't know where in Chicago, and yes, I do know Chicago's huge. In fact, Chicago is about, I think it's 5 times the population of my entire state of New Hampshire. It's massive. Covered it for a number of years. Parts about the city I love, other parts I hated. Shirt Lizard, screen printing and embroidery. Still love the name. Good morning, Matt. I appreciate your commitment to share your knowledge with the self-managed landlord. I'm happy to help you. You are the best and most transparent source on YouTube. Shirt Lizard, I really appreciate that. That's very nice of you to say. I try. I just share with you exactly what I do, what wins, what loses. I'll be sharing the lead order that I got. I got that very first video out. We're taking next steps, and on that next step, I'm going to share everything that I'm going through with you. It's the only way that I know how to do it. I don't always win, but man, I win a lot more often than I lose. And so, but those are the decisions that I make based on the market that I'm in and the time that I spend there. Ryan Allen, that's awesome. I look forward to it. Yeah, me too. Looking forward to that, into that kind of more regional meetup. The big thing was kind of finding a place that could do it. And I've got a place. I got a friend of mine that owns a restaurant. And so I wanted something that was easy to get to off the highway, that we can then blast out and make sure that we get a bunch of people invited to come and hang out there and participate, because I think it'll be awesome. Keith Hager, can minimum wage increase and pay hikes cause a paradigm shift in housing? Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, it can. I think the bigger paradigm shift, Keith, is going to be with how much more HUD is going to be paying for people to live there. That's going to be the biggest difference is HUD. Yep. Because now, man, is that getting close. That's getting scary. Financial firefighter, Ninja Loan. I love it. I got beat up on another channel by saying Ninja Loan. He said no such thing as a Ninja Loan. Oh yeah. Someone hasn't been investing or talking about real estate for more than 10 years. Of course there are Ninja Loans. No income, no job, no assets. Now are there Ninja Loans? No, that's why all of the health of the real estate market is, and that's why I don't believe there's a 50% crash, 40% crash, is because look at the debt that they've created. There's 2% in 2020, 4% in 2021, 11% in 2022 are the percentage of deals being done with adjustable rate mortgages, but they're not being done with ninjas, no income, no job, no assets. You have to have a job, you have to have an income, and you have to have assets. Now, Bank of America is saying no credit score, and they're going to give you the down payment assistance. Okay, but there's still those other 3 things, to my knowledge, are still in there. This is where the rubber starts to meet the road. I think that they're calculating that there's going to be a certain amount of default rate. The idea is usually if 8% of people stop paying, that bond that all of those mortgages are in blows up. It's usually 8%. Does that get you really close to there? Because there's some companies right now where their loan rates are defaulting at 6% or over 6%. When they get to 8, they start losing money and they have to start paying up for the, and that's the number. It's 8%. That's the number. So it's going to be amazing to watch. But yeah, the ninjas don't exist anymore, but now they're adjustables. And now this new Bank of America program is the closest to ninja that we've been since back in 08. And it's because they're having to get creative. Ronald Zion. Hey, Ronald. Hi, Matt. One, I live in North Carolina. Can you recommend an accountant who understands real estate? Yeah, so I would recommend reach out to Bob Langworthy. I don't know if he covers North Carolina. I'm pretty sure he does. I don't know if he handles newer landlords, only because his practice is he is not only a CPA, he's an EA, an enrolled agent, which is like a step above. So it's kind of like a CPA is a cop and an EA is a SWAT team guy. It's like top of the line. You're not going to find anybody that has more training, that has gone through the steps. Like that's an elite position. And so, but I don't know if he's taking on new clients, but if he doesn't know, he might be able to recommend somebody. I know that I really like what Mark Kohler does. There's some strategies I don't love, but I get it that he does them. And Mark Kohler he's probably the only CPA in the world that I can watch present for an hour and not be grabbing a pillow. He's really talented. Yeah, really talented. Let's see. Ronald Zion. Hi, Matt. Oh, nope. Second one. Yep. How many years must lapse before you can add rental income before pursuing the next property through a lender? Depends on the bank, but usually it's only one. However, there are programs now. Reach out to Matt, the mortgage guy. I've talked with them about this specifically. In fact, want to do a video with them on it. That's called the sustainability metric. You can buy a multifamily 2, 3, or 4 unit with as little as 5% down, so long as it meets the sustainability metric. If you look at my channel, there's a video called Sustainability Metric. Watch that video. It explains all of the detail. It'll take me 15 minutes to get through it now. But basically, there's a formula that they use that says this is acceptable. And you can count 75% of your rents, even if you've never been a landlord before. You can count 75% of your rents towards your monthly nut. It just has to fit in their bucket. So reach out to Matt the Mortgage Guy, tell him the Lumberjack Landlord sent you, and talk to him about the multifamily sustainability ideas. But watch my video. Don't waste his time with the questions that I already covered. Make sure you're going there prepared, that because he's a very busy man and he will give you time. Just make sure that you've studied up and just spent a little bit of time doing a little bit of work so that you can have a good conversation with him. That's the opinion I'd give you. Oh, Rob, greetings from my boat, from my boat on the Colorado River. Greetings, my friend. I love it. Let's see. Just want to make sure I didn't skip any because I see that I had missed one. Phil Nealand. How to go about raising rents with Section 8. I inherited a couple tenants with my only interaction with Section 8 has been filled out the form claiming landlordship and random deposits starting to show up. Yeah, so you need to take better control of that, Phil. I know you're a great investor, so you need to be getting better control of that, setting up a meeting, having the conversation with their lead housing person. Usually it's a director of the program. It's usually a director of the authority or of the they call them field agents in some places. It really differs what they call them. That's why I kind of struggle with exactly what to call them. But look for the director, have a half-hour phone call with her, just saying, you know, I'd love to make more available units more available. What are some of the best things that I can do? I'm actually working to get the director of Section 8 for one of the authorities on the channel. I'm expecting that in the next 2 weeks. She had a very busy schedule, but I said, I want to share this with people because I want them to hear your views. And that way we can make our decision. People know my view. They know other people's views. I want them to know a housing director's views. So I'm excited to have her on and have her be able to share that with folks. And so, yeah, aside from claiming it, Phil, the one thing that you need to look at is call and ask them or send them an email and say, hey, I needed to do a rent increase on these. You likely had to sign something called a HAP contract. What you have to do with that HAP contract is it typically will tell you, in that HAP contract that you can't raise rents more than 60 days in advance notice. And then they also tell you what that number is. And so then you can just figure out if you're bundling in heat or electricity or other utilities. If they're shared, you have to bundle them in. If they're not shared, then you can consider separating them out. And then you just do the one that's the best bang for the buck. For me, I used to include heat and electricity, but now with inflation, I don't include it. And Section 8 and can figure that out with with their tenants. They're their tenants too, not just my tenants. And so while they're on the program, I'll do it from a housing perspective and from a rent perspective, but I can't take ownership of heat and hot water based on what Section 8 of the Housing Authority is going to pay. So they'll have to figure that out. And that will mean that you get quote unquote less, but your net income will likely be much higher. Let me know if that helps, Phil. Rob, opinion on tile countertops? Never. The cheapest countertop that I will put in is butcher block. It's the cheapest countertop I'll put in. I won't put in tile countertops, and I won't put in Formica. Won't put that stuff in either. Nope. Only stone or butcher block. That's it. Layla Hiros. I hope I said your name right. I'm horrible with names, so I apologize. But I appreciate asking the question. I know this is your first time here, or first time asking a question. Based on the FMR chart, I should ask for a 200% increase on my Section 8 in 2023. But I just got a $250 increase this year. I don't have to wait 2 years for another increase. Nope, you don't. It's only every year that number comes out, and every year you can raise your rent to whatever the FMR is or whatever the housing authority says it is. The only thing you have to do is give them 60 days notice. It's the only thing you have to do. So that's your option. Yep, that's your option. Financial firefighter. To clarify, we were discussing the 08 crash and I was mentioning, okay, Ninja loans. He was trying to beat me up for using Ninja. He said, no such thing. Only Nina. He's wrong. Yeah, he was very upset I used Ninja. Well, build a bridge and get over it. Nina was no income, no assets. That's not true. That's factually not true. There were Ninja loans. No income, no job, no assets. Those loans did exist. They did. They did. They just flat out, they did. There were Ninja loans. There were people, because all you had to do was stated income. That's all you had to do. You could have no job and just state your income. That's what made them a Ninja loan. Be accurate. You were accurate. Chris Webb, do you have any interest in DSCR loans? Yes. Why or why not? Yes, because they can give me some flexibility on a deal that I'm working on now, actually, which is families having a lot of trouble with a bank. They're doing everything they can to accelerate their mortgage and basically try and foreclose, even though these people have been gracious and paid their bills. They paid one bill like 2 days late, and that they're trying to make an example of them, and they want the house back because they can sell it and make $50 or $70 or $100,000. And so I think it's a disgusting bank. And there are those out there. Not every bank is disgusting, but there are plenty that are. And so I am working with them to try and basically buy their house, lease it back to them because they don't want to leave, and trying to do that at under the current mortgage payment that they have today. So we're just going through that process right now, trying to put that deal together for them. They have equity, and so that helps. So the DSCR loan comes into play. We're 50-40-10. I can get the DSCR loan to take 50% of the debt. They can give me a note, or I can give them a note on the last 40, and then I only put 10% into the deal. which means I can keep their payment lower because the return on my capital is $28,000 is all I'm going to have in that deal, plus closing costs, let's say 35. So then whatever capital I get back. So if I can show, let's see. So 20% on that 35 is 7,000. So around, $600 a month. If I can get $600 a month and keeps their payment the same, lets them have a note that's interest only. I have a DSCR loan over here. If I can do that deal, I do that deal. I try and help save their house and I hit my financial requirements that the bank wants to see. So yeah, that's why a DSCR. In my market, it doesn't break 10% COC yield without $500 per door. Yep. Yeah, that's the other thing too, is you have to hit their income requirements. That's certainly a challenge for sure. Shirt Lizard, screen printing and embroidery. Do banks view Section 8 as more seasoned, stable tenants versus open market tenants? That's a great question. They don't, but here's what they do look at is Section 8 tenants to them shows that they're helping out all parts of the community. They actually get banking credits for housing that they finance that's lower fixed income. Man, that is a great question, Shirt Lizard. Dude, you're bringing the heat today. Man, you're bringing the heat today. Those are two great questions. Phil Nealon, thanks, Matt. Perfect. I'll look at the HAP contract tonight and get a hold of them this week. Yep, there's money there sitting there waiting for you. Keith Hager, Rob, tile countertops are like taking showers with your underwear on. They will never get clean between the cracks. True. Yep, true. And you can do, so, we had some where before we had any money where we couldn't even replace them, we basically just kind of clean them up and then put like silicone down, very light silicone in those, in the grout lines. Yeah, it's just not, you're not able to consistently keep those things clean. Matt Bittner, I wonder if Ninja loans created homeless landlords. Ninja loans created homeless landlords. Expand on that. I want to answer your question, but I could take it two different ways. Yes, there were people, I mean, if you bought the house and you had a Ninja loan, then you were the owner of that. But are you asking if a landlord used a Ninja loan to buy a home? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Yep. There were people, it's one of them, some guy refers to it as the stripper index, which is, and that's when everybody knows there's a recession coming because stripper incomes go way down. But a lot of strippers had multiple homes in a lot of these areas and they weren't investment loans. They were just regular. It could still be done as I intended to occupy and I never moved in. Technically mortgage fraud. That's where you see a lot of these big celebrities get busted, is that they said, oh yeah, it was an owner-occ loan. And they never lived there. Of course they never lived there. Living in a $4 million home and they're renting that place out. Me, I actually would say owner-occ loan because I was living in it. I got my mail there, or I got my mail to my PO box, but my utility bills were mailed to my house. Like I lived there. So yeah, great question. David Yang, what are people talking about? Entering in a contest or a giveaway? So David Yang, if you do a super chat, a couple of bucks super chat with a question, I'll answer the question, but it also enters you in the raffle for one of these awesome Lumberjack Landlord t-shirts. I ship it to you for free. If you want me to autograph it, I autograph it. But any super chats, that gets you entered into a drawing for one of these awesome Lumberjack Landlord shirts. Yes. Ironwood Workman. Oh man, I missed a lot of this. I'll have to go back and watch. By the way, hello everyone. Ironwood, I appreciate you coming and hanging out. Newer to the channel, and I appreciate you coming and asking questions. I can't believe I got through all the questions. That's unbelievable. So if you guys have questions, hit me up. I'm here to answer them. You can ask me for a few more questions. I got about 15 minutes left before I'm going to go hang out with my lovely family and then guests. We have guests here. I don't know who they are. So I might be back on a live stream. Just kidding. I don't know who they are. But if they're nice to my wife, then, and if my wife invited them over, chances are they're pretty good. So I don't know who's here, but we'll find out. Yeah, guys, watch the Vegas video. That's talking about me shopping where I think the system is broken, where the government, I think, broke things. And then what else? I am working on a deal that is, again, it's trying to save a house in foreclosure, or that they're trying to get it into foreclosure. And I will publish as much of that as I can, because that is 100% a seller creative finance deal. It's going to be a combination of a bunch of things. Chris Webb, I do have a rental question. I'm thinking of converting my basement into another unit. We have 2 bathrooms down there, so it would be tough to convert to. Would it be tough to convert to a kitchen? No, actually, nope. If you have 2 bathrooms down there already, yeah, one of them is an easy convert to a kitchen. It really is. The only thing that you do off of that riser is, and your plumber will know this, he'll know which one you should be converting versus which one you shouldn't be. And it's usually the place of where they are on the line. And then just make sure that you have a vent and a trap like you're supposed to, and proper venting on the line, and you should be fine. Yeah, make sure you have a licensed plumber do it, because that's not a landlord weekend thing. That's a good sized project. But yeah, absolutely doable. The biggest thing is having the pipe there that you can actually have a drain into. You can do a dishwasher too if you wanted to. But yeah, that's a great question. Ronald Zion, Matt, how's the EDU project going? Good. I got my drawings back, and so I'm sending the drawings over to the guys this week to find out to get that on the schedule for the next month, to then have a hearing about getting my ADU approved without solar on the roof. Man, when I heard that from Mike Zuber from Orange all the time, I went mental, because I've run all the numbers for solar and they don't make sense. They just don't make sense. Even when you buy the panels outright, they don't make sense. Just doesn't. Yeah, it's crazy. Ryan Allen, my girl Shannon said she would rock a sweatshirt if you decided to give those away sometimes. Okay, thanks, Shannon. We're doing the same thing. We're doing t-shirts now. We will do sweatshirts, but I'm very picky on sweatshirts, just like I'm on t-shirts. I want the perfect material. Brian Beck, super chat. Thanks, Brian. What brand blinds do you install? Brian Beck. Blinds. Let me look real quick. I will tell you, because you super chatted. We do. I believe that they're called the Home Decorators Collection. Let me just double check here. What a pain in the tail. I believe that they're called, yeah, they're like a cellular, it's a cellular shade. Yeah, it's a cellular shade. It's a cordless cellular shade. It's either the Home Decorators, dear heavens, of course it wants a Home Depot upgrade, of course. It's either the Home Decorators Collection or the other cellular shade option that Home Depot has. Just make sure that you ask them, not when is someone there that can cut my blinds. Ask them, who is the person that cuts blinds there? The one that does it all the time. That's the person that you want. The other ones are slow as anything. And what your best bet is to do is to take all your measurements on everything that you need and then create a list and then talk to the person in that department, which is usually the flooring and blinds department. Talk to them and get their email address, email that list to them, and then go back and pick it up. Make sure you have the right number for the, as far as all the measurements, and break that down. But then the model of the shade that you want, which I'm pretty sure is the Home Decorators Collection. It's a more expensive cellular shade, but I don't have to replace them again. And if I do, then I get to bill back to the client bill back to the tenant because they're the ones who ruined it. But they're no muss, no fuss shades. They're nice, they're elegant, and they're not crazy expensive. You can spend over $100 a piece on them. These, I think, start in the 40s or 50s. And so, yeah, if you're looking at a 21, window house or a 25 window house, yeah, you can spend $1,000 or something like that doing this. But again, if they ruin some of them, you can easily replace them. Home Decorators Collection or the next one up. Every Home Depot covers them. Like I said, put your list together, talk to the person first there, and then make sure you're going in and that you're selecting, because you got to be really careful. The off-white and the white look close to each other. I always pick the white because I want the bright color. It doesn't let more light in. So that's what I always pick. All right, give me 1 second here. Christopher Leroy, Atlantic City, New Jersey here checking in. I like Atlantic City. I used to go to the Borgata all the time. I would land at Philadelphia Airport, and it was 32 miles from Philly Airport to the Borgata. And so within an hour of landing, I had my stuff dropped off in my room and I was on the tables playing within an hour. That's the Borgata in Atlantic City. David Yang, I think you and Dion and One Rental at a Time should talk about Grant Cardone and his ARM loans. Have you discussed this? Yeah, we have. Yep. He is raising rent over $500 for his property to cover his interest rate increase. Yep. Yep. He's doing it. And so is Ben Mala. Yep. These guys didn't lock in. These guys were at 2% and 3% rates. They didn't lock in. Now with how aggressive the rate market is, they don't want to lock in. It's my understanding that on a lot of funds, and I don't know this to be true, it's only what I've heard, that on a number of those funds that they've actually drastically reduced the dividend that they're paying or the payout to their investors. This is where we've said for a long time that there's going to be pain in that market, because people are flying high and buying stuff with 4% with 4 cap rates. And now things have gotten nuts because rates are through the roof. So but yeah, we have talked about it, David. Karen Molnar, hi, Matt. Thanks for the content. You're very welcome. Do you have a video on running the numbers on multifamily compared to single family? No, I use the same spreadsheet only because it's just return. So I run it the same way, Karen, which is if I got to buy a single family home and I'm putting $10,000 and this is what my return is on that $10,000. If I buy a multifamily and it's $30,000 down, but this is the percentage of my return, all I'm looking at is like what One Rental at a Time calls yield. I'm looking at what I call the ROC, return on my capital. Now, where Mike differs is Mike would say if he has a chance to do a single family home at 12% and a 10-unit multifamily at 10%, he would pick the single family home. I would not. I would pick the multifamily home that gives me that 10% return, because that 10% is a much, much larger pie than the 12% over here. So I want that massive return. What he's thinking is if it's all relative, if my down payment for the house gives me that 12% return, but my payment for the 10 unit is that much bigger, but gives me a 10% return, well, relatively speaking, I want the better return. Totally get the concept. And for him, awesome. For me, I'll take, if it's only a couple points less, I'll take it on a much larger asset for sure. Yeah, much larger for sure. Matters what my debt is really what I'm looking at. David Yang, how could anyone enter into equity deals with ARM loans on a property? Syndication. I'm pretty sure in syndication that's legal. I don't know the syndication game. I've been asked a couple times if I would do a syndication. My answer was no. I wasn't interested. I'm not interested. It's not how I invest. I don't want to invest other people's money. I only do my own. That's it. And then share my experiences with others. And you can take that or leave it. For me, syndication is not of interest for me. Rather invest into a trusted REIT. I agree with you. I think there's a lot of REITs that are going to be in trouble too, though, quite honestly. Yeah, quite honestly. A lot of that stuff is like imagine office building REITs, right? Like if we have a tough winter this year with heat, and then on top of that, a tough winter with, some sickness or, we're having to go through lockdowns again, like who knows what is to come. It's going to come flu season, and you guys know what that's like, especially in the Northeast or kind of, north of the Mason-Dixon. Is Grant Cardone going to be in trouble? David Yang, I have no idea. I like Grant. I think he's a great entertainer. I think he's a very smart guy. I think that I didn't invest in any of his stuff, so I don't get any of the reports. So I don't honestly know. I think that that's in large part why syndications are largely supposed to only target accredited investors. And because if you're not an accredited investor, you likely don't have all of the things that an accredited investor does. A, money, and B, a level of resilience. Like, to become an accredited investor, I think you need to make over 200, it's either over $200,000 a year or $250,000 a year, and or you have to have $1 million net worth. That's a decently high bar. Now you can get into there, but I think at that point, what they believe, what the SEC believes based on accredited investors, I believe that's whose bailiwick this falls under. It might be consumer protection, but I think it's FDIC. I'm not FDIC, SEC. Not positive, but I think it might be consumer protection. What they believe is if you have that much more money, then you have people protecting your money, accountants, bankers, lawyers, etc. And whereas a normal person doesn't have all that. For the longest time, I didn't have any of that. Literally only in the last 2 years have I been like, I kind of need that. I need a more proactive team instead of a reactive team where I drop off a file. Ninja Vanish 24/7. What do you think about crash in higher end homes? Yep, I do. I think it's going to happen. Higher interest rates with lower economic outlook might convince people to tighten up on unnecessary expenses for a while. Yep. I hope it happens because I would love to buy a home on the ocean. And I can't do that with the prices and the rates being what they are. There was a house that got listed at 3.5 million on the ocean. Not a player at that number, by the way. And I created a unbelievable seller finance package, bloody, bloody, bloody. This was someone that was ultra wealthy. They have like 5 homes or 7 homes or something like that, created a package. And they basically were like, nah, not interested. I was like, even from the tax benefit? Nah, don't care. They ended up selling it. They 3.5, they sold it for 2.7 cash. And I think that they paid 6 or 8 years ago. I think they paid 2 million for it, or 2 million, maybe 2.2. So they still made 500 grand. So good for them. And it was a cash deal, so no inspections. David Yang, inflation is hitting hard. Yep. Just went to Costco yesterday and increased prices again. Yeah, like I said, I mean, my family feels inflation, but not nearly like a regular family. I know that we're not regular. We've got 124 rental units. We're not regular. And so I look at the impact it's having on my tenants, and that's why I'm concerned. I can afford $6 heating oil for my house. I can afford $5 gas. They can't. And that's why I feel bad for them. That's why I've done everything that I can to put them in a position where in many cases I raised rents last year. I didn't raise them this year, and basically all those units. And the ones that I didn't raise last year or this year, I just asked that they take over the heating side of it, because I know that if they get in trouble, they can get assistance. So I don't disagree. David Yang, I have bought those blinds too. Home Depot, Home Decorations. Yet, and the cordless ones are good enough. Yeah, I only do cordless because it's not the good enough thing. It's that I think they're better. I don't want cords hanging down where a kid can get twisted up. I have 3 young kids, a 4-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old, or 17-month-old, and I don't want her getting twisted. And they pull on them, things like that. So yeah, I'm not going to play that game. Yeah, for sure. Chester Williams, good afternoon, Matt and everyone. Good afternoon, Chester. Chester Williams. Hey, Chris Webb. Chester Williams. Yeah. Aaron 4402. Hey, Aaron, thanks for coming. Not many people ever talk about build to rent 3-2 homes. Yep. What are some reasons not to do it? Plan is to use my own cash to build, cash out, refi, and repeat. So the only reason not to do it, Aaron, and I'm not trying to convince you of such, just based on answering the question, if I were in your shoes, right? Or if I'm in my shoes, what am I looking at, and what would I do if I'm in my shoes? every time you refi out, when you refi out, that's one of the things that changes in the market the most is what you can refi out for. So it might be only 70% loan to value. So let's just play the math. Let's say it's a $300,000 house, 770% loan to value is all they're going to give you back on that house when you refi out. If all you get is 70 or 75%, let's just say it's 70, then that means you're leaving $90,000 of equity behind in the home. And can you then buy the next one? It's kind of like a BRRR. It's a little bit like a BRRR. And that's the problem is now appraisals on some stuff aren't coming in. Now they're coming in at, lower loan to value, or even the bank is saying, well, we're only going to do 65% loan to value now. Well, if you're leaving 35% back in the house after you've done buy, renovate, refi and rent it, you might be leaving a lot of money behind in it. That's the thing that I would run the numbers on if I were doing something like that. Is look at what my refi out is, because even on owner rock, it might only be 70 or 75%. So you're leaving a bunch of money behind. Shirt lizards, but I mean, if there's a bunch of margin in you building it and GCing it and managing all that, then you might be more okay. I just don't know you'll be okay. Shirt lizard, screen printing and embroidery. I recall you use Choice cabinets. Is that the manufacturer out of Ohio? Yep. So I use Choice. They're more expensive. I also use Fabu wood. Fabu wood is phenomenal. Good, really good product, better pricing, better turnaround, but they're both really good products. But yeah, I use Fabu wood over Choice right now. I'd love to do Choice, but their last three price increases were just way too aggressive. Karen Mulder, enjoy the rest of your weekend. You too. Chris Webb, Karen Mulder, Zuber has videos on cash return. Yep, he does. Yep. Yeah. For me though, it's really, really simple. Regardless of the asset, it's about return on my capital. I put this much money into the deal and this is how much money I make net monthly. That's the number that I care about. Ironwood Workman. I know this is a loaded question, but how far out for the housing crash, the bottom, how do you think the housing market will go down? If I knew that exactly, Ironwood, I wouldn't do a YouTube show. I would be consulting for $1 million an hour. Because then you know the answer, right? I jest, of course, but the way it's going to be very market specific. If you guys look at 08, 9, 10, 11, 12, the market went down 5 years in a row, but it blipped. It was, 1%, 2%, 4%, 9 or 8.9%, and then 4%, and then 2%, and then positive, right? But there were markets in that were down 75%. Vegas, Fresno, there were a bunch of them, but there were a ton of them, right? If your average was 30 or 32, if your cumulative average was 30, or I think it was 30 or 28, if your cumulative average was 28 or 30 and your worst year was 9, right? Yeah, it might even been 23, whatever. If your cumulative was, still in those 20s, right? But you had some markets fall 70, then that means you had some markets that didn't really fall at all. That's what we experienced. We saw drops of 20, 25% in that time, and sometimes 30, but that was rare. In Fresno, pretty much everything dropped that much. In Stockton, California, pretty much everything dropped that much. In Las Vegas, pretty much, a ton of stuff dropped that much. I remember looking in the MGM, no, not the MGM. Where was I? Yeah, MGM. MGM 2-bedroom was 1.1 million or was it 1.1? Yeah, it was 1.1 million for a 2-bedroom unit in 07. In 2010 or 11, that same unit was 300 or 400. That's how much it fell. So I don't think that there is a perfect calculator. I think what people that are looking to buy a home have to do is recognize what a 10-year spectrum looks like on them paying rent. Because rents, they are going up. Yes. All right. Last couple questions, because now I'm getting summoned. And summoned by somebody that I was going to meet to look at something they have for sale. Not a house. David Yang, yes, I'm trying to figure out if I can raise rents or how much I can raise this year. You can definitely raise rents. Yeah, you can definitely. And if you're looking at how much, rent box, rent box, rent box, rent box. Michael Zuber has the buy box. Lumberjack Landlord has the rent box. Look at basically 5 main things. One is the area that you're renting. 2 is it A, B, C, D area? 3, is it A, B, C, D quality? Right? Because you want to compare apples to apples. And then how long it was on the market. And then I would be talking to the broker as you look through like Facebook and see that stuff has gone rented, or in Craigslist, if an ad's still there, call them and say, hey, have you rented out the unit yet? If it's 2 or 3 weeks and they still haven't rented out the unit, I don't know that they want to wait that long. So that's the change that's what I would do, is run that rent box. Aaron, awesome. Thank you so much. I'll let you know how it goes. Yeah, I would love to hear, Aaron. Yeah, run those numbers. I'd love to hear what your experience is. Ernest Petrilli. Ernest, thank you for joining the live stream. I appreciate you being here. My mortgage is $3,600, but rental Zestimate is $2,300. Am I stuck in this house for a long time? No, the Zestimate doesn't really matter. It really, truly doesn't. The Zestimate says that one of my rentals should be a $1,200 a month rental, and I get $2,200 a month. I get literally almost 100% more than what they're saying I should get. So if you really want to know, what I would do is I would contact a couple local rental agents and have them walk the house and have them tell you, this is what I would rent this property for. Because that Zestimate is the same algorithm that they use to have them be told by their algorithm that they should spend $500 million on homes, buying them, fixing them up, and then trying to resell them. And they got crushed they lost $500,000 with that algorithm. Excuse me, $500 million, $500 million they lost on that. So I don't trust those estimates. Pallavi, thanks for the super chat. I'll put you in for the shirt drawing. Appreciate that. I'll answer your question. Thoughts on various water heater tanks as well as tankless water heaters. I love tankless water heaters. The only kind that I will use is IBC. I will not use anything else. I will not use Bosch ever. I will largely not use Rinnai. I will only use IBC. They're made in Canada. I would only use an IBC on-demand hot water heater, tankless. As far as normal hot water tanks, you get what you pay for. I wouldn't buy the cheap one. I would usually not buy the middle one. I'd buy the more expensive one because they have 5-year, 8-year, and 10-year warranties. Sometimes you can get a 12-year warranty. That's based on the thickness of the steel in the bottom of it. And in most basements, there's condensation. And so that promotes rusting, that promotes that thing rusting out, the bottom coming out, and your water heater failing. What you'll find is that they've gauged it pretty well, saying if we use this thick of steel on the bottom or this thick of metal on the bottom, that it's going to last 8 years, 10 years, 12 years. They don't want to replace under warranty. And so I've had those 8 years, the 8-year ones, I've had them literally fail at 8 years, 2 months, 8 years, 4 months. What the heck? Can you really time it that well? Yeah, they take their calculation. Maybe Zillow should contact them about building an algorithm for housing instead of for metal, but that's the numbers that you run. So in my eyes, I run an IBC tankless. If I can't run an IBC tankless, and in some cases it doesn't make sense, then I'll just buy, I will just get a regular hot water tank, but I buy the nicer one, not the cheap one, not the next one up. It's usually number 3 or number 4. There's usually a scale of 4. I would usually buy the one down from the top. That's what I would usually do. Scott Lawson, have you found non-owner occupied, and Pallavi, you don't have to do another super chat. Just let me know if that answer helped you. Have you found a non-owner occupied lines of credit? I have equity yet that I want to tap. Yeah, but I don't want to refinance the loans. You're exactly right. 4%. How would you try to access that equity? Scott, there are some, but they are very few and far between, but there are some. The thing that I've seen that's been the biggest challenge of tapping into that equity is it's like 70% loan to value. So what's the delta? How much equity do you have in your house? If let's say it's $100,000 house, you owe $600,000 on it, and there's a 65 loan to value on the HELOC, you're picking up 5 points. So it might be $5,000. If it's a $500,000 house, it might be 25 grand. Is that 25 grand worth it? Having the extra note? That's up to you. Because the other thing you're going to have too is now you're going to have that much more of a payment, and a lot of those rates are insane, like 7.5 to 9.5%. Take a look and let me know what you think. Iron Workman. Yes, that is true. Yep, my houses in Montana did not go down at all. It is the market. 1,000%. It's exactly right. New Hampshire didn't. In a lot of places, New Hampshire didn't really feel it. It's a true story. We didn't really feel it in a lot of areas. Rock and roll heat pump, water heater. Check them out. I've had a couple. I hated them. Yeah, I had a couple. I hated them. I thought they were junk. Yep. 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 Yeah. Don't like them. They're really expensive to put in. They're really expensive to buy. Didn't like it. Didn't like it at all. I've had a few of them. Didn't like it. IBC on-demand tankless water heater. Thank you, Matt. Yep, you're welcome. Yeah, that is, I'm telling you, that's money that you'll spend that you likely, the oldest one that I have is now 7 years old. We have 30 of them deployed in the field. We've only replaced parts on one, just one. That's it. We've only replaced parts on one. Pallavi Patel. Wow, thanks, Matt. I was curious and I found house details with these TWS. Awesome. Very awesome. Very good. That's great. Ninja Vanish. Thanks for answering questions. Absolutely happy to do it, Ninja. So I'm here, my man. Let's see. Ryan, rock and roll. I have 2 of them. Would rather have the tankless on-demand systems that Mac recommends. Yeah, 1,000%. Yep. Yep. Scott Lawson. Thanks, Matt. You're welcome. All right, guys. That's I'll get Keith Hager. To upgrade for our flips, 1 spider leg off the main light in rooms with dimmer controlled slim inset 3-inch LED lights. Yep. Half a watt, 38 watts. Yep. I love it. Keith, that's exactly right. What Keith's talking about is these pancake lights. They're fantastic. You can go from that one, pardon the language, boob light that's in the middle of a lot of rentals, and you can string 4 of these off of that and then put one of these in the center. Then you have a 5 light setup. And because these are so low demand, these are 14 watts each on full light, but the light setup that you have up there is usually 260 watt bulbs. You get the same replacement, much better light, much better layout of the light. It's infinitely better. And you can do it pretty inexpensively. Rock and Roll USA, right on. Thanks. Just saw the top end home builders using it. Yep, I have rooftop solar in Greece. Yeah, that's way better. Moving back soon. Don't be in a rush, man. Greece is beautiful. Chester Williams, curious, Matt, what time frame cutoff do you use for reviewing area average rents? 2 weeks? Yep. 2 weeks, maybe 3. I figure after 2 weeks, something's wrong with the unit. Either prices are too high or unit not as advertised. That's exactly right. Yep. Yeah, 2-3 weeks tops. Thanks, Matt. Take care. Enjoy your time with the family. Thanks, guys. You guys have a fantastic week. Love spending time with you guys this week. Actually, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people do a super chat. We are going to roll the dice and see who the shirt winner is. And the shirt winner is for the 9-4 live stream. 18. Nope, not 18. See, if you just more people in super chat, you guys would have gotten the shirt. 2. Tom Kine. Tom Kine wins a shirt. All right, Tom Kine, lumberjacklandlord@gmail.com. Send it to me, my man, and I will get that shirt out to you wherever in the country you may be. Guys, thank you so much. Have an awesome weekend. Check out the Las Vegas video. I encourage you. It's a fantastic video. And I will see you guys. There will be some stuff we'll be doing this week. 3 Amigos. I'm on one rental at a time. I've got 2 special interviews that I've got coming up. And Lady Landlord, Becky out of New York. I was on her show. Becky, thank you so much. I look forward to having you on my show in the next few weeks. I was on her show, Lady Landlord, on YouTube. Check her out. She's actually got some really cool data. She's a house hacker too. So very, very cool stuff. You guys have a fantastic rest of your Sunday with your families. And yeah, Tom Kine, send me that email. You win, my man. Have a great week, everybody. Take care, guys. Bye now.